Hey everyone, Snap Arts is counting down to Christmas. That means every day there'll be a new tutorial on my channel. Today's tutorial is this super cute reindeer look. It's really easy to do and you can do it with a lot of products that you probably already have. There's 9 days till Christmas, which means I have 8 more tutorials for you. Be sure to check back in tomorrow for another video.
I've already done one of my eyes, so I would have an idea of what I wanted to do. In this look, I'll be using the Naked 1 and 2 palettes, and I'll also be using the Smashbox On The Rocks palette. Using Buck from the Naked 1 palette, I'm going to start by marking where I want my cut crease to be. I'm not going to connect this back into my eye, instead I'm going to wing it out towards the end of my eyebrow. I'm also going to mirror this shape on the lower lash line. To create a smoky effect, I'm smudging this onto the lower lash line. I'm also dragging this down off of the corner of my eye towards my nose to create an open point. Use a fluffy blending brush to soften these colors out. You don't really want any harsh lines, you want this to be a nice gradient. Next, I'm redefining those cut crease lines using this gorgeous chocolate brown color from the On The Rocks palette. The best way I've found to get this corner the right shape is to take a rounded brush and sort of press it in instead of swiping it. When you're doing this upper line, make sure it stays even and symmetrical to the other side. And don't forget to pull that point down in too. I'm pulling this darker color up in between the front of my brow and where that cut crease is. This is really going to help with the contouring of our nose later, but it also gives a nice deepness there, which will help make our nose stand forward. Once you have the colors as dark and as blended as you want them, it's time to move on. Using this full coverage concealer from Smashbox, I'm going to start defining that cut crease. This concealer is actually much too light for my skin, so I never really use it, but it works great as an eyeshadow base. I'm taking a small brush so I can get in there and get the lines just how I want them. Covering the lid, and then being careful not to cover all of that shading that we just did on the eyes. Make sure to get a nice crisp line in between the brown and the concealer. Don't forget to fill your little inner wing. Now that we have that all laid out, I'm taking a shimmery ivory color and putting that on the first 2/3 of my lid and on that little point. I'm patting this instead of sweeping it to avoid fallout. To fill in that area under the tail of our brow, I'm using this gorgeous copper color from the On The Rocks palette. I'm also going to pull that into that outer corner and into the outer third of my eye. I'm leaving this at kind of a flat line because here I'm taking a gold shadow to blend that ivory and the copper together. Taking a matte gray shadow, I'm using this to line my eyes. I just wanted this to be a soft line so I wouldn't have to line them later, but since I put the falsies on I had to line them anyway, so if you want to skip this step you can. To prepare for the falsies, make sure to curl your lashes and apply a couple coats of your favorite mascara. Before applying mascara to my lower lashes, I'm taking my holy grail, the Nyx Wonder pencil, and I'm lining my waterline. I love putting this in the waterline instead of the white because I think it just is a lot less harsh and it looks more natural. Next I'm taking a brown mascara and applying that to my lower lash line. Once I have my falsies on, I'm using a liquid liner pen to go in and cover any glue and to disguise the band a little bit more. I also added a slight wing in the inner corner and on that lower crease line. And that's it for the eyes. Now onto contour. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit, and I'm going to use the lightest contour color and the darkest contour color. First I'm going in with that darker color and placing this in the temples and under my cheekbones. I'm also going to sweep this across about halfway up through my forehead and blend that out thoroughly. I'm starting by taking the darkest color and placing that where I want it and using the lightest contour shade to blend it out. I wanted the contours to be really dark on this. I don't really know why, I just thought it would look cool, and I ended up happy with how it turned out, so I guess it did. To carve out my face a little bit more, I'm also going to sweep that contour under my jawbone. The nose will make or break this look. If you get it right, it'll look awesome, but it's also really easy to mess it up. The most important part, I think, is getting the two lines down your nose parallel and having the distance between them be equal all the way down your nose. You don't want to make your nose look slimmer at the top or the bottom, you want it to look like a rectangle. If you're like me and you happen to have a super crooked nose, this contouring can get a little bit difficult. With mine, I always have to contour one side further in than the other to make it not look super crooked. You want a clean line on the top of your nose, but on the sides you'll want to blend that down so you don't have a hard edge. I've seen a lot of people do a black line down that indent in their lips, and I really hate the way that looks, so I decided to throw some contour in there to just deepen that little shallow part, the Cupid's bow, I guess. Next, using my favorite illuminator right now from Nyx and Ritualistic, I'm going to put that on top of my cheekbones, down the center of my nose, on my forehead, and on my chin. Going back to that concealer that we used earlier on our eyes, I'm using it straight out of the tube to draw some dots on my forehead. There really wasn't a rhyme or reason to where I was putting them, but I wanted to make them symmetrical on both sides. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it's just the way that I think looks the best. Since that concealer is a cream, I'm using the ivory shade again to go around and set each dot in place. I don't want any of my dots running away. Going back to the nose, I'm going to use a Kryolan Aquacolor in bright red to paint on the nose that I want. You could paint it on in black if you don't want to be Rudolph or don't want to be made fun of by the other reindeers, but I am willing to stand out. You want to make sure that your nose's highest points are in line with the contour lines on your nose. Just like the contours, if you have a crooked nose like me, this is going to make it seem more pronounced. One way that you can avoid this is not painting one side as far down as the other. I didn't bother doing this, so my nose does look pretty crooked. If you want, you could leave your nose just like this and it would be super cute. Or if you're like me and you want to add a little bit more, you can take black eyeshadow and shade in on the sides. I like to do this just because it adds a little bit more dimension and makes it look just a little bit more interesting. If you colored your nose completely black, you could add a little bit of white shading in the center of your nose, or you could just skip this step entirely. Now that we're all done and we have a super cute reindeer nose, it's time to move on to our lips. As a base, I'm going to be using two of NYX Infinity Shadow Sticks, one in Blackout on the upper lip and one in Almond on the lower lip. I'm overlining my lip and drawing it a bit rounder than I normally would. Now that my lips are lined and filled, I'm going to take Venom from LA Splash and I'm going to put that over. Be very careful if you're using one of these matte liquid lipsticks, because once it's on there, it's not going to come out. These things are so long lasting. Now it's time to repeat the process on the lower lip. I'm starting by using the NYX Almond Shadow Stick, and then going over that with Revlon's Cocoalicious Lipstick. This completes the look. You are now a super cute reindeer ready to help Santa pull his sleigh.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check back in tomorrow for another tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video. Bye!